Alright guys, so this week's topic is about gaps in services. Um, Once again, I'm at Maple Shade Youth and Family Services in Princess Anne, and I do school-based therapy with kids, primarily elementary school kids. And three gaps that I'm going to talk about in services today have to do with the lack of coordination and communication. So the first gap is the lack of coordination between the teacher and the therapist. Um, and I think that is very important in um, providing services to our clients because it's important to talk about how they are doing both in school and at home, as well as their behaviors in school. And this can be very difficult sometimes, obviously, because everybody is so busy with their schedules, especially teachers, and it's hard to find time to pull that teacher aside and talk about kind of what they're seeing in school and what they're seeing as far as the behaviors of the client. Um, so I think that to address this gap, I think it's important to kind of set a schedule with certain teachers to have a time to talk about these students or these clients and kind of talk about what's going on in a setting other than an IEP meeting or a board meeting or something like that, because those meetings tend to be very educationally based, whereas I think it's important to have more behavioral based and progress based meetings. Um, the second gap I thought about was the lack of coordination between parents and therapists. Um, and all of these gaps go both ways too. I mean, I think that both the parent and the therapist should both be trying to reach out to each other to um, discuss what's going on at home, to discuss what they're seeing and what the therapist is seeing, because in the end, everybody is seeing something different out of this client. So it's important to kind of meet somewhere in the middle and to talk about what everybody is seeing on their end. Um, this again can be hard because everybody's busy. A lot of times parents don't answer phone calls or don't receive phone calls. So I think that doing more family sessions in person can help to bridge that gap to address that issue. And the last gap that I thought of was the coordination between therapists at the agency in general, because oftentimes there are multiple therapists or PRP workers who have interactions with the same client. Um, so, for example, if a client during PRP group has a rough time in that particular group on a certain day, they should have to tell that therapist what they need, or like tell that therapist what happened, I guess, so that that information is appropriately relayed. Um, and I think that in order to bridge that gap, um, obviously documentation is a big key, and I think that there should be further meetings to kind of discuss how that particular client is doing in groups as well as individual therapy and other sort of therapeutic activities, whether it be conducted by the client's therapist or the client's PRP worker. Um, and as far as barriers that hinder service delivery, um, all of these gaps that I've spoke of, um, I personally think are barriers to the client because it's hard to provide them the proper service when their presenting problems are not appropriately addressed by all members who are active in trying to assist this client in reaching his or her treatment goals.